The second method I want to talk about is called the rectangular survey method, or the governmental survey method. The governmental survey method was created in like 1785. The amazing thing about this is this actually works. It was created by Congress. Probably the last thing Congress has done that actually worked. All right? Nope. This works so well that every county and city in the United States has adopted the basis for this system. All right? So before we get into it, let me just do a little bit of talking to help you guys out. You guys understand how housing numbers work, right? Housing numbers are a distance from a center line. So you live at 4210 east something, that's 4.21 miles east of the zero line. All right? If you live at 856 north, 10th north something, that's 0.856 miles. 10th Street, 1 mile. 21st Street, 2.1 miles. 38th Street, 3.8 miles. That's how all this system works. This is how Jimmy John's gets to your property really quick. When you live at 2525 east something, they just get on that road and go 2.5 miles out, and there you are. All right? That's how paramedics, that's how the police, the fire, Jimmy John, all of this works based on this rectangular survey method. And further, if you're facing north, all even numbers are on the left-hand side of the road, all odd numbers are on the right-hand side of the road. So if someone lives at 2509, it's 2.5 miles, 9's odd, so it's going to be on the right-hand side of the road. This allows you to find people's property, all right? The same system also works if you live in the country. 100 north, 200 north, that's 1 mile north, 2 miles north. 375 is 3.75 miles north. So this whole system is based on the government rectangular survey method, all right? It's a genius application that works extremely well. So let's show you how this works. It originally starts on these things called principal meridians, all right? It's a principal meridian. And I can never remember. There's 34 or 37 of them in the United States, 37 principal meridian. For the sake of your sanity, to help you guys sleep better tonight, Indiana uses principal meridian number 2. It's also called the Harrison principle. All right? The Harrison principle. Number 37 is called the Seward principle. Runs through Seward, Alaska. All right? It is a vertical line, and I'm going to put a squiggly right there just so you can see it. Running parallel to the principal meridian are these things called, and watch the trick, a range line. See the stick on the R is vertical for range? So the vertical lines that run parallel are called range lines. These range lines create a strip of land. This strip of land is called a range, as in home on the range. All right? These ranges are vertical strips of land that run north and south. They are 6 miles wide. The strip of land known as a range, is 6 miles wide. So what you see are a series of vertical lines that are imaginary, of course. Intersecting these lines is a baseline. Where the baseline and the range line meet is called a pivot point. Now, you want to hear something really cool? This is going to tell you how big of a nerd I am. I Googled the Harrison pivot point, and I found the GPS locations. I put it in my phone. I went and found it. Anybody ever been to French Lick? You know when you go down 135, all the way down, and right there at, what's the little town where you go around the circle? Paoli. And then you go out towards the casino, right? If you go around that circle to the first stoplight, there's a sign that says historical marker. You follow that historical marker down about a mile. There's a sign that points to the country road, historical marker. You can go down and see the pivot point. It's surrounded, it's got a big plaque. It explains when it was set, what year, who did it, surrounded. And I've got a picture of me literally standing on the pivot point, you know, with me pointing at it. It looks like it's a rock about 8 or 10 or 12 inches in diameter that's buried in the ground. And that's the pivot point that Indiana uses. So our 0-0 line is down in Orange County. A lot of people assume it's the circle or the monument or Marion County. Nope. Because that pivot point is also used by northern part of Kentucky, some of Illinois, and some of Indiana. All right? Now, running parallel to the baseline, you have more lines. Now watch the trick. See, the top of the T is flat, like a line. It's called a township line. The top of the T is horizontal. That way you can remember it. If you have drawn this at home or on your paper here, what you see, basically it looks like a huge tic-tac-toe board of intersecting lines. The strip of land that runs east and west is called a tier. Anybody ever heard of tier gardening? When you garden on the side of a mountain, you garden horizontally so that seeds and water don't run downhill. That's where tier gardening. It's a tier that runs east and west. Where the whole strip, all right? The whole strip is a tier. The whole vertical strip is a range. Where a range and a tier overlap, you create a township. Now, do not get this confused with a political township like Pike, Center. Those are political townships. This is a geographic township. All right? Maybe I forgot to mention, but let me go back for a second. The tier is also 6 miles wide. So a strip of land called a range is 6 miles, and the tiers are 6 miles as well. So this township is how big? It's 6 miles by 6 miles. 6 miles wide, 6 miles tall. It's 36 square miles. That's a township. These townships are identified so that we can know which one we're talking about. If you've ever played Battleship, this is the same concept. Remember Battleship, across the top you've got A, and down the side you got 1 through 10, and you marry them up and say A10. Works the same way. So the one that I've highlighted here, let's look at it. It is on the, here is the first range, which direction? First range west. This would be the second range west. Now for tiers, here's the first tier above the baseline. That's the first tier north. This one is the second tier north. So that specific township is identified as 2 ranges west, 2 tiers north. Right? You could say 2 tiers north, 2 ranges west. They're not really particular about which one goes first. So 2 tier north, 2 ranges west. This whole tier, John, back to your question, would be 2 tiers north, right? All the way across, because it's the tier that runs east and west. Just like this range is always 2 ranges west. So if I highlighted this one right here, and for those of you at home, I know you can't see this, but trust me for a minute here. Somebody give me the address for that particular one. There's the 0, 0. So it's 1, 2, 3 tiers south, right? And it's 1, 2 ranges east. So that township is 2 range east, 3 tier south. Are we good? It's fairly intuitive right now. Works just like the Battleship. If you go over 2 ranges and down 3 tiers, that's the township. 2 range west or east, 3 tier south. But it gotta attach it to a principal meridian. So it's 2 ranges east, 3 tiers south of principal meridian number 2. Because remember, there's 37 of them. So you have to attach it to the specific principal meridian. And here's a hint on the exam for everybody. It's not a prime meridian. Prime meridian's time. It's a principal meridian. Don't get caught on the exam. All right? It's a principal meridian. Everybody understand where we're at? I'm going to change the audio file.